Live from the Triangle, this is WNCN News at 7.
Good evening, I'm Sharon Tazwell. Thanks for joining us. We continue to follow the breaking news out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. This is a live look at the scene. Just a short time ago, police updating the active shooter situation. They say officers are still being fired on by the suspect and they have not made verbal contact with him. At least 4 officers are injured, possibly a 5th. At least 4 civilians are also reported to be injured. Police say the suspect is still holed up in the Planned Parenthood building. And throughout the afternoon, authorities have been evacuating people from the Planned Parenthood and nearby buildings. Police also say the suspect brought bags and other items into the Planned Parenthood with him, and they must be inspected before police can conduct a thorough investigation.
There are an unknown amount of casualties at this point. We know that this scene is going to be going on for the next several hours because there are items that the suspect took with him to the Planned Parenthood building that we have to check out once the scene is stabilized.
Police say at this time they have not identified the suspect or a motive. Stay with WNCN on air and online as the story continues to break. A family is asking for prayers tonight after their toddler was viciously attacked in Raleigh by at least 1 dog. 2 Rottweilers were in the backyard of a Raleigh home when the boy wandered in. It happened on Houston Street in northeast Raleigh. And the child was flown to UNC Hospital in Chapel Hill. WNCN's Bo Minnick joins us there live with the very latest. Bo.
Sharon, the boy hasn't even reached his 2nd birthday yet, but his mother just came out from the hospital here a short time ago to speak with us, and she says that he has months of facial reconstruction surgery ahead of him. She also shared with us this photo of her son. She only wants him to be identified by his first name, Ryder. The family is from Iredell County, which is closer to Charlotte, but was visiting friends in Raleigh. This happened about 10 o'clock this morning. The mom says there were 2 Rottweilers at the home, and both were in the backyard. She says, though, that only one attacked her son. She says he was inside playing. Her son was inside playing, though she described how he was able to get outside with no one seeing.
And there's a large dog door, and somehow he got out the door without us. Within a span of about 5 minutes, this incident occurred. We're looking at months of surgeries. He will be here for a few months. Lots of reconstructive surgery.
How are you doing?
I'm horrible. I'm okay right now. As soon as I walk away, I might not be.
And certainly you can hear the heartbreak in her voice, and we are all hoping for that boy Ryder's recovery. Police say that no charges are going to be filed in this incident, and the owners of the 2 dogs that were in the backyard have both relinquished ownership or control of those dogs to authorities, and we're told that both Rottweilers will be put down. Live at UNC Hospital, I'm Bo Minnick, WNCN News.
What a difficult situation. 1 person is dead after a moped accident in Raleigh. Police say tell WNCN it happened around 2 o'clock this afternoon on Fayetteville Road near downtown. Witnesses say the moped lost control and hit a utility pole. 54-year-old Johnny Ray McDonald was taken to Wake Med, where he died from his injuries. And we now know the name of the person hit an I-440 in Raleigh last night. Police tell WNCN 24-year-old Daniel Del Toro Lopez of Durham was hit while standing near a disabled vehicle. Lopez was taken to Wake Med. No word on his condition. And more than 30 cars had their tires slashed overnight near NC State. And police tell us it happened at the Kensington Park and Gorman Crossings apartments on Avent Ferry Road. Police don't believe anyone was targeted and that this was a random act of violence. There were clear puncture marks on the sides of the flattened tires. We talked to several neighbors who walked outside and found the damage.
My friend's car, he came out just trying to go out for the day or whatever, and that whole right side of the car was flat, both tires.
Anyone with information is asked to call Raleigh police. And if you're planning on traveling during the holiday season, there's an extra step you can take to make sure your home is safe. WNCN's Jonathan Rodriguez rode along with Garner police as they check up on houses for people who are out of town.
During this season, Thanksgiving in the Christmas season. It is a very busy time for home checks.
The last thing you want to worry about when you travel is if your stuff back home is safe.
We'll check your house, make sure everything's secure.
They're an extra set of eyes that will drive by when you can't be there. It's simple, but could be the very thing that keeps your home from becoming a potential target.
I think it's a deterrent whenever we're going through neighborhoods, going down the street, driving through, whether we're doing a house check for a citizen or just doing a security check of that neighborhood, going in saying, hey.
We tagged along with Garner Police to run through a typical house check.
If someone's breaking into a house and they're using a vehicle, they're probably not going to pull right up to the house. They may pull on the side street or something. So one of the things you're looking for is what's going on in the neighborhood.
Something as simple as the daily paper can catch the eye of a potential criminal.
Like we have a newspaper here. So when you have a newspaper, again, we're dealing with the services. You want to try to get those canceled or try to prevent those from piling up in front of your driveway. Come up to the front door, make sure it's locked, and it's locked, so we pull it shut. Check all the windows, check the screen door. It's locked, secure, so you're good to go on that one.
They can't guarantee what time they'll be there, but it's free peace of mind that officers say also help build their relationship with the community.
We're able to go into the neighborhoods, talk to the neighbors, see what's going on, be personable, and be able to be helpful in any manner that we can.
Jonathan Rodriguez, WNCN News.
And now, your WNCN weather forecast.
And good evening. I'm meteorologist Bill Ray. Hope you had a nice Friday. Gorgeous still out there for the Friday evening. 56 degrees right now. And as we take a look at temperatures, yeah, they're getting a little cool, but still not bad for this time of year. 50 in Roxborough, 59 in Fayetteville, 55 in Wilson. And a check of the big picture, you can see we're all right. Mostly sunny skies here. There's a storm system out to the northwest of us, which will eventually affect our weather. But as long as we have that high pressure system that's expected to just sit right over us through tomorrow, the weather is going to be quite nice. So for this evening, temperatures will fall through the 50s. Skies will be mostly clear. And overnight tonight, look for lows in the middle 40s. So yeah, it will be cool. It's not going to be windy, cool and calm. But it's not going to be cold like it has been on recent mornings, and our normal low is supposed to be in the 30s. So anytime you can put the last weekend in November and say the overnight lows are in the 40s, we must be doing something right. But as I mentioned, there is a little system out to the northwest of us that will start to affect our weather at the end of the weekend, and we'll time it all out for you coming up in a few minutes. Ms. Sharon?
All right, Bill, and we have breaking news right now out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, where gunman has been inside a Planned Parenthood for several hours. This is a live look. The police are updating the media once again. Let's take a listen.
Mayor John Suthers, S-U-T-H-E-R-S. He is the mayor of the city of Colorado Springs.
The only thing I would add is that the perpetrator is in custody. The situation has been resolved. There's no continuing peril to the citizens of Colorado Springs. But there's a huge crime scene that has to be processed. We have to determine exactly how many victims there are, and we'll be reporting on that in the near future.
I might add that there's a lot of agencies that helped out this afternoon besides the Colorado Springs Police Department. We have federal authorities here, federal, state resources, and this was, like I said, a very tough afternoon, but we had help from everybody in the community, in the region, and the state. Thank you.
I'd also like to, hold on one moment. I'd like to, if you guys can step back.
Yep.
Chief Chris Riley, R-I-L-E-Y, with the Colorado Springs Fire Department.
Well, good evening, everyone. Just to add to what Chief Carey said, it's been a very challenging afternoon. Fire, police resources, and law enforcement, public safety from all different levels throughout the area have worked very well together. We established a unified command early on, but thankfully the situation at this time has been resolved, but our hearts and our prayers go out to the family of the loved ones of the victims that were involved in today's event. So it's been a very difficult day, but our first responders performed very, very well, did an outstanding job. Thank you.
Okay.
Christopher Riley.
Do you have fatalities?
So at this point, the information that I can tell you is that we have 115 Colorado Springs Police Department resources here on scene, in addition to 8 victims advocates that are working with us through this situation. We have the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs Police Department, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Bureau, the Colorado Bureau of Investigations, and we also have regional explosive units here on scene. As I stated earlier, the individual brought some items into the building with him, and that we have to work with our EOD units, our explosive ordnance units, to make sure that none of those items are a further hazard to the people on scene. At that point, then, we are going to have to treat this as a crime scene. We are going to have to go through, we are going to have to identify if there are any individuals on scene that are injured and have not been transported, or individuals on scene that are deceased. We do not have any numbers at this point. The only thing that I can tell you is that there were 11 people that were transported to local hospitals. Of those 11 people, 5 of them were police officers from various agencies that have responded today. Do you know if there are any fatalities? I do not have any confirmation of fatalities at this point. Again, as I said, we're going to have to work through the scene because we are now treating it as a crime scene and investigating it. We did get an individual in custody at 4:52 p.m. in our time zone here. That individual has been transported away from the scene, and obviously we're going to start our investigation from there. Okay, I need to, questions at a time. Steve.
Question, was the suspect shot at all? Is he injured, or was he at all?
I don't have information that he was shot.
Eric?
Walk us through those last few moments, because you said earlier there was no communication with the suspect. Talk about
Correct.
that.
Earlier there was no communication with the suspect. We did get officers inside of the building at the Planned Parenthood, and the officers were able to shout to the suspect and make communication with him. And at that point, they were able to get him to surrender, and he was taken into custody. I do not have an identity on the suspect. As I've explained before, this is going to be a complicated scene that is going to take hours, probably days, to process for us here. In addition to that, we are working through the state law that requires the sheriff's office to investigate whenever our officers are involved in a shooting. And since we know that some of our officers did fire shots, they will be investigating that portion of this scene. One moment, Steve.
That this happened at Planned Parenthood. Do you have a motive? Was the man trying to?
We only just have the individual in custody.
And this is the breaking news. A shooter at the Planned Parenthood in Colorado Springs is now in custody. He was taken into custody at 6:52 this evening. There's no confirmation of any fatalities at this time. They're saying they do have to go through what they're calling a crime scene of the Planned Parenthood and the surrounding area to see if there were any casualties. There were 11 people who were transported to local hospitals. 5 of those injured were police officers. Of course, we'll continue to update you on this breaking news right here in WNCN, also online at WNCN.com. We're going to go to a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
Live from the Triangle, this is WNCN News at 7.
Breaking news right now on WNCN. One person is dead, and deputies have made an arrest in a shooting this afternoon in Wake County. This is a live look at the scene. WNCN's David Hurst is there right now. We'll have more details from him in just a moment. But our other big story tonight, Pope Francis is in Philadelphia. Here's a live look. Right now, the Pope is headed to the Festival of Families already underway along Benjamin Franklin Parkway. Good evening. I'm Maggie Newland. Thanks for joining us. Tomorrow, an estimated 1 million people are expected to attend a public mass in Philadelphia. Today, on his way to Mass, Pope Francis stopped his motorcade for a boy in a wheelchair to offer comfort and a blessing. A festive night follows with a concert featuring Aretha Franklin, Andrea Bocelli, and the Philadelphia Orchestra. Mark Wahlberg is hosting the event, which caps the World Meeting of Families. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we will have a live report from Philadelphia. And tonight at 11, we'll have a live recap and look ahead to tomorrow's Mass. Good evening. I'm Maggie Newland. Thanks for watching WNCN. To that breaking news now, one person is dead after a shooting in Wake County. Following a brief search by law enforcement, a suspect is now in custody. It happened at a home in the Rutledge Landing Drive area about 2 miles south of Knightdale. That is where we find our David Hurst now here with more information. David?
Yeah, good evening, Maggie. Investigators are still here on the scene. If you take a look down the road, you'll see them in front of the home. They just obtained a search warrant to search inside the home where the shooting happened. What authorities know right now is that they got a call at about 3:45 this afternoon. They arrived at the scene and found a man lying in the driveway, deceased when they got here. They then took a shooter into custody here. They said that the shooter was actually the one who called 911. They said they're looking for 2 other people who also came here to the scene and then fled. They're looking for those 2 witnesses in order to get more information about what happened.
2 other people were seen leaving the scene on foot, but we have the shooter in custody and trying to figure out what we do have.
Just shock. I mean, I just can't believe that something like this happened in our neighborhood. So just a little bit scary. You think your neighborhood is safe and something like this happens.
Now, again, the shooter is in custody. Police are questioning them. Sheriff's deputies say it's too early at this point to know if charges will be filed because it's possible he was shooting in self-defense, they say. But they say that the victim actually lived around the street and that the shooter actually lived at the home where the victim was found. But, of course, we'll continue to follow this developing story. They're expected to release the names of both the shooter and victim once family have been notified. You can stay with WNCN for the latest. For now, reporting live in Knightdale, David Hurst, WNCN News.
Deputies are looking for a man accused of forcing his way into an 87-year-old woman's home, telling her to remove her clothing and robbing her. Authorities in Johnston County have released a sketch of the suspect. Take a good look. The woman tells our David Hurst the man rang her doorbell and asked to speak to someone named Jack. One neighbor we spoke with couldn't believe this happened. He said the woman is a very sweet lady. He did not want to be identified for fear of retaliation.
I was a little shocked, to be honest. You don't expect that kind of thing in this neighborhood.
Anyone with information about the suspect or the crime is asked to call the Johnston County Sheriff's Office. You can find that number and a copy of the sketch online at WNCN.com. The man accused of shooting his ex-girlfriend in a Food Lion parking lot is now being connected to other murder cases. Gary Yarborough is already facing first-degree murder charges in the death of Tracy Williams in July. In court this week, Yarborough admitted to writing letters to investigators in Johnston County from his prison cell, claiming to have information about unsolved murders in Johnston and Wake counties. Investigators are not specifying which cases. Well, turning to the weather now, just about constant rain for the past 36 hours. WNCN meteorologist Bill Ray is here now with a first look at your forecast. Bill, any sunshine in sight?
Eventually, but not tomorrow, if that's what you're wondering about. We're going to give you a big 0 in terms of sun tomorrow. It's going to be more of the same. Boy, our streak of very nice weekends crashing down this weekend. This is about as wet as you can get. Remember that it's been very dry. We're under a drought. This will help. We've already had almost 2 inches of rain in the Triangle at the airport. They had about an inch, almost an inch and a half yesterday, a ½ inch today, and we could see another 1/3 of an inch. Most of this will be light rain to drizzle tonight, and you can see it on the radar here. A little moderate rain down by Fayetteville, north of Clinton, and also up by Roxborough and moving into Caswell County and into Orange County. Boy, it rained all day at the Tar Heel game. Looked like it rained all day at the Duke game, too. So it's just been wet out there, and even in Greenville, where the Pirates were playing, some rain. And all this is moving, just continues to feed in. So in a nutshell, if you're heading out this evening and the sun is now down, there's going to be rain around. Rain and drizzle. Temperatures rather flat, just sitting between 64 and 66. Not much movement there. As a matter of fact, the overnight low is going to stay about 65 degrees as we'll see rain and drizzle throughout the night. We'll talk about your Sunday rain chances, time that out, and we'll look well into the future to see when we'll have some dry weather. It's all coming up in the 7-day in a few minutes. Maggie?
And don't forget, you can keep up with the weather right on your smartphone. Just download the WNCN News app for hour-by-hour conditions and a live look at your radar. It is free in your app store. And, of course, when weather hits, you can send us a look at what you're seeing using sendit@WNCN.com. The federal government is looking into the State Department of Health and Human Services. Tonight, state lawmakers are reacting. Documents obtained by WNCN yesterday show a federal grand jury is investigating contracts awarded by DHHS, including nearly $250,000 for 8 months' work to a man who previously worked for the secretary's husband. WNCN's Michael Hyland joins us now from outside DHHS with reaction from lawmakers. Michael?
Yeah, Maggie, even though these subpoenas came here in late July, some state lawmakers we talked to said they just found out about all of this earlier this week. Former Secretary of the Department here, Dr. Aldana Vosh, stepped down just a few days after the subpoenas arrived here at the office. This spring, a state audit found a former manager wasted at least $1.6 million on excessive wages. Auditors accused Angeline Sly, the manager of the Medicaid billing system, NC Trax, of abusing her authority and hiring relatives and friends. We talked today with Republican State Representative Justin Burr. He's a key player on the legislature's Oversight Committee, which has been investigating DHHS. He says Sly needs to be prosecuted.
It's very frustrating, especially when warnings were given repeatedly to the department about the behavior of her and the concerns with her continuing to have the prominent position that she held.
All the hits she took.
The governor has not commented on this case yet, and a spokeswoman for the department says the department is cooperating with the investigation. Representative Burr said, though, it's too early to judge whether the former secretary should actually be prosecuted in connection with this case. Live in Raleigh, I'm Michael Hyland, WNCN News.
Now the 82nd Airborne hosted Molly Pitcher Day today. It's a chance for field artillery units to show off their services to their families.
It's kind of tough on the family, but things like this kind of bring us back together and just to help out and spend time with the kids and holding them and missing out on all the stuff that he didn't get to see.
Molly Pitcher, whose real name was Mary Hayes, is known for providing water on the battlefield during the Revolutionary War. Well, about 100 stay-at-home dads got together for the At-Home Dads Convention today in Raleigh. There are an estimated 1.7 million stay-at-home dads across the country. Today, there were several speakers and breakout sessions. The event picks back up tomorrow morning.
It's just a great place for guys to come, connect with each other, and be empowered to be a better man, a better husband, and a better father.
The 20th annual convention is being held at Marble's Kids Museum. Well, today's rain certainly had an impact on college football across the state. We've got great action from Durham and Chapel Hill, plus Pope Francis in Philadelphia. We'll have a live report on the day's events in the city of brotherly love next.
And good evening, I'm meteorologist Bill Ray. Look at the rain. You see the raindrops on the camera lens here as we overlook Raleigh. And as we head towards sunset and the sun is down, the sky's darkening. Still more rain out there. We'll see more drops on the camera lens. We'll show it to you on the radar, give you the rest of the weekend forecast and a look into next week, all coming up.
Welcome back. A live look right now from Philadelphia. Pope Francis is headed to the Festival of Families there. He is parading down the Benjamin Franklin Parkway to the main event stage, where he'll take part in several aspects of the program. He is slated to speak about 9 o'clock tonight. Philadelphia is the final stop on his 3-city U.S. tour. The Pope delighted huge crowds as he traveled through town. He delivered a speech and a homily, but his actions are what led some to tears. NBC's Brian Moore joins us live now from Philadelphia.